Stop scrolling. I said stop. Look at me. Wipe that vacate expression off your face. I am not a sweet old lady here to knit you a scarf or bake you cookies. I am an auditor. For 40 years, I balanced books for corporations with valuations higher than your entire bloodline's earning potential. I know how to spot a deficit. I know how to sniff out fraud. And right now, looking at you through this screen, I see someone committing the absolute grandest larceny of all. You're embezzling your own time. Look at this piece of paper in my hand. It is not a sentimental wish list. It is an invoice of unpaid debts. 3 simple transactions are currently past due. 1, a phone call. 2, an apology. 3, a hug. The recipients are insolvent. Dead. Buried. Gone. I am holding a check for $1 million of accumulated affection, and the bank has permanently closed its doors. And you. You are sitting there with a device in your hand that connects you to 8 billion people, and you are utilizing it to watch strangers dance or argue about politics that don't concern you. You have the recipients right there in the next room or a text away. They are liquid assets. They are alive. But you are operating exactly like I did. You are banking on a future that has not been written yet. You are speculating on a market you do not control. You think you have a surplus of time. You do not. You are operating in the red, and you are too distracted to even notice the deficit. I am not here to inspire you. I am here to serve you a notice of default. This isn't content. This is a final fiscal warning before your accounts get locked just like mine. I ran my life like a strict, publicly traded corporation. Efficiency was the primary KPI. No waste, no redundancy. I viewed human emotion as a volatile, unstable currency prone to hyperinflation. If you say, "I love you" every single day, the market value of the phrase drops, doesn't it? That was my logic. I was an emotional miser. I was raised in an era and a household that believed self-control was the ultimate virtue and that displaying feelings was a sign of structural weakness, a lack of executive discipline. I treated happiness like fine antique silverware, something to be kept in a velvet box, locked in a dark drawer, only to be taken out for the big occasions. The weddings, the jubilees, the funerals. I despised the mundane. I thought everyday life was merely the logistical preparation for the main event. I demanded exceptionalism before I released any capital. I lived in a state of permanent postponement. I thought I was being prudent. I thought I was accumulating compound interest on my feelings. I believed that by holding back, I was building a massive reserve of love that I would unleash when the moment was mathematically perfect. I was a fool. I was a strategic failure. I was saving candles while the sun was setting, not realizing that once the night comes, you can't find the matches to light them. I wasn't living. I was hoarding life for a fiscal quarter that never arrived. I prioritized the preservation of assets over their utilization, failing to understand that life is a depreciating asset if left on the shelf. Take the apology, for instance. If I snapped at my husband, I wouldn't apologize immediately. No, that would be emotional and reactive. I would file the incident away in the pending folder of my mind. I tell myself I'll wait 3 days. Let the situation cool down. I will formulate a proper, dignified statement. I treated a simple, "I'm sorry," like a complex legal settlement that required drafting and review. I wanted to be right more than I wanted to be connected. With my friends, I maintained a strict, bureaucratic schedule. You don't call just to say hello. That's inefficient usage of bandwidth. You wait for a reason. A birthday, a holiday, a notification on the calendar. If I thought about my friend Susan on a Tuesday in March, I would ruthlessly suppress the urge to call. Wait until Easter, I'd tell myself. It will be more meaningful then. I turned human connection into a standard operating procedure. I became the woman who was always composed, the woman who never made a scene, the woman who never rushed. I took immense pride in my patience. I thought patience was wisdom, but looking back at the ledgers now, it wasn't patience, it was arrogance. It was the arrogance of believing I owned the calendar. I treated people like library books that I could check out whenever I wanted, assuming they would always be sitting on the shelf, waiting for me. I didn't realize that people get lost, they get damaged, and they get removed from circulation without prior notice. Let me give you the final audit report of my life. It is a document of total loss, a bankruptcy of the soul. My husband? He didn't die in a tragedy. He didn't die in a way that allowed for a cinematic farewell. He died of a massive heart attack. He passed away thinking I was merely tolerant of him. I withheld the capital of my love, and it vanished into thin air. A total write-off. Zero salvage value. My best friend? I postponed visiting her for 6 months because I wanted to lose 10 pounds first. I wanted to look presentable. I wanted the visit to be optically perfect. By the time I felt ready, she was in a hospice, too medicated to know my name. I walked in looking thin and perfect, and she looked through me like I was a glass window. I realized then she didn't care about my weight. She wanted my presence. I traded a moment of connection for vanity. This is what happens when you treat life like a ledger. You end up with a surplus of intentions and a deficit of memories. I wasted the only asset that actually matters, the present moment. I am the CEO of a company that went bust because I refused to invest in the product. Here is the brutal truth I learned when the silence in my house became deafening enough to hear a pin drop. There is no compound interest on unexpressed love. You cannot save it. You must spend it. You must be a spendthrift with your affections. You must burn through that capital daily. I used to think that impulse was a dirty word, a sign of poor planning. Now I know it is the only way to live. If you think of someone, call them. Right then. Not in an hour. In an hour, the market shifts. You might forget, or they might step in front of a bus. The perfect moment is a myth invented by cowards to justify their fear of vulnerability. A stuttered, messy apology delivered 5 minutes after a fight is worth more than a poetic eulogy delivered 20 years too late. A eulogy is just a receipt for goods never delivered. I realize that the small things are not small. They are the entire market. The Tuesday morning coffee, the random text message, the squeeze of a hand, these are the microtransactions that build a life. I was waiting to buy the whole building, and I missed the chance to rent the room. Do not be an accountant of your heart. Be a gambler. Throw your love around like confetti. Wasting it is better than rotting with it. If you look foolish, fine. Being a fool is better than being a corpse with a dignified reputation. Enough talking. I am tired of this interview, and frankly, I am tired of looking at you wasting your potential. I am not asking you to reflect. I am issuing a command. This is an operational directive from someone who knows the consequences of noncompliance. Put down this phone. Physically put it down on the table after this video ends. Do not scroll to the next dopamine hit. You have 3 tasks to execute immediately. Contact the person you are avoiding. Forgive the person who annoyed you this morning. Tell someone they matter to you without wrapping it in a joke, sarcasm, or irony. Do it now. Not later. Later is a lie. The clock is ticking, and unlike a bank, life does not give extensions on loans. You are alive. Stop acting like you're immortal. Your lease on this life is month to month, and you never know when the landlord is coming to collect the keys. Close the app. Make the call. Get out of the rad. Go.